If you're joining us for the very first time, my name is Bryan McKenzie. I have the privilege to serve for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes as the Director of Football in the Midwest region and beyond. And we're glad to have you on the call today. The name of these Zoom calls are the Heart of the Coach, where we want to just hear from the heart of the coach and hopefully be a source of encouragement and equipping you as a coach as you have a chance to pour into your coaching staffs and your players, and especially under this difficult time right now where we have to be even more creative. So thanks for being on the call. It's my privilege to introduce our guest today. Tremaine Jackson is the new head coach at the University of Colorado-Mesa. Welcome to our Heart of the Coach today, Coach Jackson.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Bryan.
Well, it's good to have you. We got a mutual friend that kind of introduced us and told me we got to have him on here, so we've got him on here. So no pressure. All right, Jackson. But, well, you've been an assistant coach for many years, the D2 level, NAIA, D1. What was it about Colorado-Mesa that led you to accept the head coaching position there?
Yeah, it was more like Colorado-Mesa accepted me. Going into my 15th year this fall, we've interviewed 8 times to be a head coach on some level. And it didn't work out for one reason or another. And so it's been like, hey, you're a finalist or you're in the final 3. And we all know as coaches that there's only one finalist, and it's the guy that got the job. And so we've always fell short, and we've just tried to get in front of the administration that would give us a chance to show what was inside of us and to show what we could do with a program. And Colorado-Mesa was the program and the institution that gave us that opportunity. So I wasn't looking at Colorado-Mesa. Actually, Jed is the one that called and told me I probably should look. I'd only spent one night in the state of Colorado in my life, and so I never really knew what was on this, especially this side of the mountain. So I think it was truly a God thing that this opportunity worked out for us. You're on mute now, Bryan. Bryan, you're on mute.
I got to unmute myself. Oh. There we go. Yeah. Well, hey, obviously it was a God thing. You weren't looking. I love that you were just waiting for the Lord's right timing. And he taught you, I know, through all the 8 times you'd already interviewed and opened this opportunity. And you kept seeing we. So who's we? Tell us a little bit about your family there, Coach Jackson.
Well, I've got a family, but we is the program. And so in order to understand me, in order to understand we, most coaches talk about their immediate family. I think I have to go back, when you talk about the heart of a coach, I have to go back to my grandmother. That's who started my family, my grandmother and grandfather. And my grandfather died when I was 9, and my grandmother kind of took over in my life. And my mother was there. I didn't have a father, but grandma was everything for me. And so this whole coaching journey, this whole journey of life and trying to give back to other people started with her. And so when I say we, I'm talking about everybody from now until her. And, I've got a daughter, and Cherie and I do our very best to raise our daughter. But we is and once we get into the other questions, you'll find out it's deeper than just the immediate family. It goes all the way back for me.
Yeah, I love that, Coach. Yeah, our family's always bigger than the immediate people living in our house. You're exactly right. And God puts people in our life to mold us and make us who we are. And when you say we, it shows a lot of humility too. It's not I, but we. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, here's a football question, kind of whet the appetites of some of these guys. What's the greatest football game you've been a part of, and why was it so great?
Around about November the 8th, 2016, we played a team. I was at Sioux Falls. We played Mankato State University. It's kind of like our Achilles heel in my time frame at Sioux Falls. I don't know why when they played us at home, they seemed to beat us pretty good. But when we played them there, things were always tight. And we were going into that game, I think we were 9-0. They were always a contender. And I think, coaches get all enamored over the X's and O's and the schematics of things. I have zero interest in that, to be quite honest. We have a scheme. We've always had one. It's pretty good. It works everywhere, in my opinion. And we're pretty cocky about our scheme. But that game was not about scheme. That game was about seeing kids for 3 years try to climb a mountain, and they finally overcame it, and they overcame it convincingly. And so for me, that is the greatest game of my career, because there were kids at that institution that when you look at them at face value, they weren't supposed to do what they did. And they weren't athletic enough to do what they did. But it really showed me that when you get a group of guys that love each other, truly believe in one common goal, that the talent part of it doesn't matter, the scheme part of it certainly doesn't matter, and guys can achieve anything. And from that day forward, it's been the most defining moment in my coaching career.
Yeah, love it, Coach. Sioux Falls, yeah, you all had some good things going up there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Great to hear. Well, hey, so Coach, how does your relationship with Jesus Christ practically impact your players? How does it come out practically in your program?
Yeah, we live by something here in our program called insight to eyesight, and we try to bring what's inside of us to where people can see what it is. And so I tell our coaches all the time, just like I was told, the kids are going to eventually see what's inside of you, so you might as well watch. You need to make sure you watch and show what you're putting out. And so I think our kids can see Jesus and the good Lord and the Bible and whatever you want to call it inside of us. And here's what I mean by that. We're willing to go to where a player is. We don't claim to be so religious and so, I believe this way and you better believe this way. We're willing to go where he is and try to help bring him over the top. We're at a state school, and so things get kind of touchy at a state school. We don't care about that, Brian. We don't care about things getting touchy. We talk about, our theme this year is called Set Your Face. And basically I told our players that we need to have the type of focus in everything we do that Jesus had when he was on his way to Jerusalem. And so our faces are set, and we put little things out there like that so kids can come back and say, hey, Coach, what were you talking about with Set Your Face when you said Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem? And then that opens the door for us to talk about their relationship with Christ. And so we try to be very intentional about things like that and pique guys' interest. And if they don't have a relationship with Christ, we try to get them to find out what it's about. And if they do, we try to sharpen it up, as we all try to sharpen up on a daily basis. So we live it throughout our program in that manner.
Okay. Well, I love that. I love that. If you guys didn't catch that, I'm going to repeat that, what Coach said about inside to eyesight. Inside to eyesight. Said that pretty quickly, but boy, that's pretty profound. What's on the inside will come out in front of everyone's eyesight. And then I love your theme too, Set Your Face, that Jesus, and it's actually in Luke chapter 9, verse 51, if you all want to reference for that, it said Jesus set his face to Jerusalem. He was on the way and nothing was stopping him. I love that, Coach. What a great theme for the year. Well, Coach, maybe this might kind of go along with what you just said, but why do you coach? What's your why for coaching?
Yeah, I didn't grow up. I alluded to it earlier. I didn't grow up with the brick house and the picket fence, kind of like I'm living now. I certainly didn't grow up like this. And so there was a coach that influenced my life, that took a father figure role in my life. And coaches, I tried to steal the vision of what it looks like to be a family man from those different coaches. I tried to steal what it looks like to be a father from those different coaches. And there was one particular coach when I was younger, a guy named Van Malone. I asked him, I said, Coach, I'm not going to the league. I can't buy you a house. How can I pay you back? And he said, man, you just better do it for somebody else. And so that's why we do what we do right now. We've been trying to strive every day and every year to make sure we make a difference in some young Tremaine Jackson's life, just like someone made a difference in my life. And that's hard. It's hard because, we live in a world that doesn't believe in second chances so much right now. And we do, because I'm a second chance guy. And so that's why we do what we do. And we're certainly glad to be doing it. And I couldn't, some guys talk about getting out of coaching and selling insurance and pharmaceuticals. I don't see how they could do it, because this is the greatest thing going, in my opinion. And so we're striving. We treat coaches as a ministry. Quite sure a lot of people do. And so we strive in our ministry to do something where it would touch someone on a daily basis.
Yeah, love that, Coach. Love that. Well, in the midst of being away from regular football activities right now, as all of us are right now, and I just got I know you guys are going to be real sad to hear this. I'm right along par with how sad you guys are. My flag football season got canceled for my little guys, so my coaching career this spring's out. but hey, you're at home. We're all at home, right? It's a little bit different than normal. So what's the Lord been teaching you through this right now, Tremaine?
Yeah, that football doesn't matter. That the actual physical part of football that we all want, that's not important. You can still run a football program and not go slap each other in the face. And to really hone in on the relationships of players and coaches. You know, we're new. We're trying to install schemes and systems and culture and all of this stuff at the same time. And it's really made us slow down and figure out what's important to our overall program. And we came in saying we were relationship people, and we've had to live by that because that's really all we have right now. You know, it also, ever since I was 4 years old and started playing, everybody says the game is 90% mental and 10% physical. Well, we're going to find out because the mental part is really all we have right now. The relationship part is all we have. And really to see kids, we're forcing relationships through Zoom. And to see kids, 110 kids on the team Zoom meeting, speaking to each other and watching them grow from time we got here to not saying anything to each other to now talking about how much they love each other has been good. And it lets me know in my role that the culture works, the culture that we learned a long time ago. It can work even online and through Zoom, and nothing can stop the good Lord from putting what's on your heart out in the open.
Yeah, love it. Well, Coach, it's going to hopefully we're all praying that we get to actually play physical football. And you're right. The most important thing is those relationships, and every coach here would agree with that because when it's all said and done, how many wins you have and all those kind of things aren't going to really matter. What's going to matter is the lives you've touched, and you're so right. But we'd like to get back on the field. I know you would too. And
there's no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I do want to see some tackling.
That's right. That's exactly right. So let's say you get going next year at Colorado-Mesa, and your long season, and get to the 10th game of the season or whatever. Just been a long season, lots going on, of course, off the field, everything that goes along with being a head coach. First time being a head coach, a lot of extra things coming along your way, and you're just tired. You don't feel like it. So what is it's going to motivate you to get up that day or those days you don't feel like it to keep going and give it your best? What's going to be your motivation?
It goes back to what we talked about, the relationship with players and watching players grow as people motivate me daily. And because somebody got up for Tremaine Jackson, then I have no other choice but to get up for somebody else. I always go back to, if Van Malone had laid down on me and not gotten up and picked me up, where would I be right now? I tried to veer off even when he did do that. But imagine if he had not gotten up, if other coaches had not gotten up for me, then where would I be? And so the motivation is the same every day. We want to. Wins and losses don't motivate me. Now, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to win every game we played. That wouldn't be true. But what really motivates me is to see kids go from nothing as an athlete or people doubting them as something to them overcoming a obstacle or something even outside of football. That motivates me the most. And you know, you come here to talk about X's and O's, that's fine. We got great coaches to talk to you about that. I want to talk about how you're building leaders and relationships. That matters to me more now at 36 years old than it ever mattered to me in my life. And I think being a Christian coach allows us to really invest in people. And so that's what's motivating to me. I also think about what if God didn't answer for me one day? You know, where would we all be? And so because I've had so much favor and blessings in my life, I think it's important that I continue to get up and do the best I can for the people that I'm in charge of.
Yeah, boy, love that, Coach. Love that. Well, I'm going to ask another football question. I'm going to then open up to some of these guys ask some questions. Then if they don't have enough, I've got some more. But here's the question. You don't know this one's coming, all right? Next year, after going undefeated all season, you make it to the Division II national championship game. You're playing Lindenwood, all right? Had to do that. Coach Stewart's on here. So You have the ball on the 40-yard line. You're down by 4 with 5 seconds to play. What play are you running to get past Coach Stugart's defense?
Well, we're going to run all verticals because I know his defensive coordinator. and I know what kind of coverage they play on the back end. So we're gonna get verticals and pop the back out. Maybe we'll be able to get something down the field. So and Stu knows me well enough to know we're going vertical regardless. We got one shot.
They added the carry culture, man.
I love it. Now, I see Coach Hendricks from Furman on the call right now. He's probably going to run some kind of triple option pass or something. But you guys are going to go 4 vertical. So I don't know. I don't think they put 4 receivers on the field at Furman, but that's okay. They get it done. I know.
Hey, I've seen Coach. They've got a way to get to it.
They've got to play. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Anybody got a question? Unmute yourself. Ask a question, and mute yourself back. That way, there's no background noise. Who's got a question for Coach Jackson here?
Hey, Coach Jackson, I read something online that you commented on regarding the DBs at Colorado-Mesa that you really liked. I coach DBs, so give me 3 key things you look for that you saw in those guys when you were looking at the program.
Yeah, eyes, hands, and feet. Eyes, hands, and feet. We're really simple. I'm like 320 right now, but I've coached corners, and I wanted to be the largest corner coach in the country, just to prove that it ain't that hard. And what we believe here is eyes, hands, and feet won't get me beat no day of the week. And we teach kids that we call it their weapons. We tell kids that, hey, most guys make mistakes by violating 2 out of the 3 of their weapons, which most kids violate their eyes and their feet all the time. And so we teach DB, we teach that across the board in our program, but especially on that back end. You see a guy get beat, he probably violated his feet most of the time, or he didn't believe what he see. And so that's what we teach DBs, and that's what I saw here. I thought we had guys that were didn't violate their weapons as much, and therefore they could play with guys in this league. As we've gotten here, Coach, we found out that was false, that they do violate their weapons as much as anybody else. And so we still have to coach them in that manner. But those are the things that we look for.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Another question?
Yeah, Coach Jackson, when you're going into a new program and taking over, I know you said you're big on relationships. What's one of the first things that you do to foster that?
Yeah, so my first team meeting here, Coach, I was really nervous. I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what I was going to say. You know, you sit back as an assistant and you talk all this trash under your breath and go, yeah, when I get my turn, I'm going to get up here and say X, Y, and Z. And it got to the day of the meeting, I had no clue what to say. And so what I tried to do was just be me and be genuine. And what I think I've always brought to the table was being firm but loving, being disciplined but caring, and always letting guys know where they stand with me. Like Bryan said earlier, I've been able to coach on every level where they're giving out $1 of scholarship money. Even had a chance to intern in the league a couple of times where they'll give you $1 in the morning and take it from you in the afternoon. And so I've gotten a chance to see it, and what I didn't see a lot of was genuineness amongst coaches. And you know, I talk to some guys that's on here right now about this all the time. You have to be genuine in coaching, and you have to be willing to be burned. And so I wanted to show our guys that, yes, I'm willing to love you, I'm willing to be burned, but I'm not willing to be violated over and over again. And so I thought we had to set that presence on the front end, and I think we've done that so far.
Great. Who else has a question?
Hey, Coach Jackson. It's Charles Watkins from Concordia, Chicago.
Yep.
I had a question about what are some of the things when you're looking to fill a role on your staff, qualities you're looking for when hiring?
Yeah, so, you know, coaches always talk to coaches about coaches, right? And
Right.
So that's kind of what our profession is. And I've done a lot of that in filling this staff. I've hired some guys that I did not work with that I knew before in the profession, and you get recommendations and you talk to guys you really trust. One thing that I thought we did differently is we talked to some former players or some guys that we hired. I asked our administration, you know, administrations are kind of creepy to me. They go through all these interviews. There's nobody really in there to tell you that can tell you anything about football, but they ask you all these questions, right? And so what I told our AD when he hired me, I said, you should have probably called one of our players that we've coached before in the past and gotten a reference on me for how I really am as a coach. And so that's what we did when we started hiring a staff. There were some guys that we were interviewing that they had guys coaching, GAing different spots, and we were really interested on how that guy was as a coach. Everybody, it's just like recruiting. Everybody can get fancied up for 24, 48 hours and show you their very best. But when you really want to know how somebody is, you have to go to somebody that's been with that person in battle. Sometimes coaching is good most of the time when you find another coach that's been with that guy, but it's nothing like that player. It's nothing like, because the player's going to tell you the truth every time regardless. If he didn't really get along with the guy, but the guy wasn't so bad, he'll say that. And so we were able to do that, and I thought that really paid off. And as I watch our staff now, some of those players we talked to about how relational that coach was, they were able to, that was spot on.
Great question. So one of the questions Joe Ehrman asked in his book, Inside Out Coaching, is how does it feel to be coached by you? And the only way you're going to find that out is going to be from a player. And maybe their feelings are wrong, but at least you're going to be able to know, okay, this is how they're feeling. So am I communicating what I want to communicate to that player? How does it feel to be coached by you? Other questions?
Yeah, hey, Coach, I got a question for you. I love personally that you said earlier that wins and losses don't motivate you. Without getting into a lot of what I do, I've been doing a lot of studying and research and speaking on what is a win to an individual, and especially in the sports world where the scoreboard is the almighty God usually. I don't get the idea that you live by a scoreboard mentality. So my question for you is, what is a win for you?
Yeah, so a win for me is getting someone at one point in their life and watching them grow to a point of success in their life. And the example that we try to use is if we found, I always say the good Lord found me dirty and dingy and down in the gutter. And so if we can go from dirty and dingy to down in the gutter and progressively see people getting better clothes on, doing better things in their life and getting them toward a point to where you know that they're on a path to success, that's a win. I do believe that will correlate over to the field in whatever form, a coach is looking for. I've seen that lead to wins and losses or wins on a football field. Yep. And so I thought, to me, that's what winning truly is, to have a guy come in as a freshman or a junior, leave your program on the right path for success.
Yeah. So in your mind, the wins is a byproduct of focusing on what your ultimate win is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that.
Love it. Other questions? All right, I got a question for you, Coach. This is one of the 4-H's in the 4-H drill. Who's your hero? What's a hill, hurdle, and highlight? So I'm going to ask you, Coach, to share a hurdle. And what a hurdle is a current difficulty you're overcoming. A hill is something you've overcome in the past. What's a hurdle? What's some difficulty or potential obstacle there in front of you you're just trying to overcome, whether it be personally, with your program? What is that in your life right now, Coach?
The current hurdle I'm facing is trusting, being trusting of the guys in our program without knowing them very long, being trusting in what we say our program is about and making sure that's filtering down through our program, and then being trusting of our administration that I'm new to and hadn't had a lot of chance to be in the office with. And so trust is a big word in our staff on our staff and in our program, because we as coaches like to control certain things. I can go out to practice and find out if a joker want to hit somebody. I can't do that online. And so I have to trust that what we see is right, and what we're doing, what we're putting in them from a culture standpoint, will then show up at the time when they take the chains off of us from this deal. And so trusting right now is a hurdle.
Well, I appreciate your honesty there, Coach. It's probably something we all struggle with at some point, and for different relationships and different reasons. Any other questions, guys?
Hey, Coach Jackson, this is Mike Cole from just south of Chicago here. I'm the head coach of a high school. Just curious of what you're doing on Zoom with your guys, like different types of activities or questions you're asking, get to know them better, or things like that.
Yeah, so Coach, we treated it as nothing changed, except for when it's time to go to practice, we don't have our kids. And so from meetings to, mentor meetings every Monday, we kind of have a leadership deal that we do, and we talk about leadership and what it looks like on Mondays, and then we have position meetings and that whole nine. We tried to keep the program moving from an academic standpoint. We know that football players and football coaches like routines. And so we tried not to break that routine, even though we were doing it on Zoom. And so we've proceeded as though we were still here. And I'll give you this example. We meet from 3 to 3:45 when it's time to go to the field. We don't have them to go to the field. We all kind of go back to doing what we're doing. And so we chose to treat it that way just to keep some normalcy.
Boy, love that. You're right. Yeah, football coaches, we like routine. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, we really do. And that's probably what some of us are struggling with the most, just out of the routine. So that's great.
Yep.
Great. That's probably great for all of us to hear, Coach, a great encouragement for all of us to think about that. Well, got time for one more question. Who got the last question here for Coach Jackson?
I'm going to tell Archie I had more questions than he had.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, hey, I've got one more question for you, and then we'll do some wrap-up stuff. So on those 4 H's, the last one is a highlight. Share a highlight from this past year for you, just a highlight in your life. What's been a highlight for you, Coach?
For me, this past season, to coach with my best friend again, who we started our careers about the same time, to look over. I remember we were playing Texas A&M. He played at Texas A&M, and so I'm watching him. We both did the signals, and I'm looking at this guy like, man, I'm back on the sideline after 10 years with a guy that is like a brother to me. And so that was a real highlight. It didn't matter that we were out there getting pounded by Texas A&M. What mattered was we were together, and it had been 10 years since we had been together. And when you come into the profession with someone, when you know their family and when he's truly like a brother, because all y'all do is talk on the phone like a couple of women, it's truly special to look over. I think there's a picture of he and I where he's signaling. I'm the dummy signaler, but I actually just glanced over at him and like, man, there's 100,000 people in here, and 10 years later, I'm in this place with you. And so that was really special to me.
That's great. What a great highlight. Well, Coach, it's great to have you. I want to remind all of you on the call tomorrow, our special guest for the Heart of the Coach will be Tom Osborne, legendary coach from Nebraska, a Hall of Fame coach, and he is going to be on there tomorrow with us. And then Friday will be Sean Watson, who's a new quarterback coach at Northern Iowa. Sean's been a lot of different places, OC at Nebraska, Louisville, Texas, Pittsburgh. Most recently, he was at Georgia last year. And then on Monday, we have Robert Wimberly, Coach Wimbo, who's the co-DC and linebackers coach at Northern Illinois. So that's the next few coming up here. Hope you guys can get on. If you're on this call, you'll receive the invitation. So know that. You don't have to respond to all the stuff I put out there, but we're always trying to get more coaches on here. And for all you coaches got on there, got on today, what a treat you got to hear the heart of Coach Jackson. So Coach Jackson, thanks so much for taking your time.
Thank you, and thank you guys for showing up.
All right.
Thank you, Coach Jackson.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Right. Appreciate it.